All right, YouTube. So we are back, and we are doing tutorial number 4. So we are going to break up the sequence a little bit and not do the network piece first because I think the wrench is very, very important. And we'll make this number 4. Then do custom controls, and then my menu, and then some of the customizations, and then come back and do the network last, because majority of the people are not going to use the things in the network section unless you're a professional photographer on the sideline. So majority of those items, that's where they are. So with that, hopefully you charged your battery and you're good to go, and let's get underway with the wrench. We are on page 1 of the wrench, and the wrench is very, very important because your most sought after, or your most impactful settings on the basic functions of the camera sit in this. So just think of it as the mechanic for the entire camera. That's why you see a little wrench up there. So page 1, file and card settings. This is kind of important. You need to set this up as before you start shooting, so you can get the most out of it, and you're putting your files where they need to go, and you can customize it. So I'm going to walk you through each one of these. Most people will say, don't touch this, don't touch that. I'm just going to go and walk through all of it and show it to you. So you'll see there are a lot of submenus in here. So first option is record function and card/full folder selection. When we go inside this by hitting the set button, if you remember from the previous ones, it has a bunch of options in here. First option is you want to shoot photos and video separately. What that means is to 2 separate cards, right? So this particular camera actually has a CFast Express Type B card, and it also has an SD card, so you can shoot different things on different cards. Second option is, the changes we'll make here are only for, photos, when you're taking photos. The third option is only for video. Then here is where you start to tell it which card to write what to, for photos and for video mode. So I'm going to walk you through that. The one up here, the first one, let's go into that. When you enable this guy, what this will do is this will actually disable all other options below that, like you just saw. The reason why that is because now you've already told the camera, hey, I want to record photos on one and I want to record videos on the other card already, right? Card, folder, all of that hierarchy. So obviously it knows that, and the other options are no good anymore, right? Because you've already made your choice. If you select that to enable, that's what's going to happen. That doesn't mean the camera is broken. It's working like it's supposed to. Like if you come back out to the menu, that's your selection. You're done in this section. Let's say that's not what you want to do. You want to come in there and say, hey, man, for photos, I want to be able to pick what I'm doing. Do I want to just, do standard, which is, just record to the main card, and then, it's just going to keep going till the card fills. Auto switch, what this means is once your card fills up, it will go to the other card that's in there. Record separately. This is important. If you select this option, record separate, for photos, you have to come down here and tell it what to do in the play and the record piece here for the photos and video. You have to tell it that, depending on the mode that you're in, on your dial on the top, whether you're in the photo mode or video mode. This is very important to understand. So if you have this set to record separately and you do not have a card, this thing here will start to actually make noise, right? And tell you, you can see up on next to the raw on the top left there, middle left, there's only one card in there. So it is not going to record separately to the card because you only have one card. So coming back in here again, when we actually change this to record separate, that's what it'll do. Record multiple means it'll actually record the same thing on both cards, right? So if you want to shoot RAW to one and JPEG to the other, it'll shoot both of them, exactly the same. If you're shooting RAW plus JPEG, it'll just make you a mirror copy. I typically use this when I'm shooting a paid event, record separately, and then the other option at that point then is so this photo menu, the second one, corresponds to the fourth photo menu here. Now you have to come in here and now you have to tell it what, right? So now it's telling me to actually hit the info button. Once I press that, I actually am telling it which card is primary, which one is secondary, type of thing, right? You see that? Pretty neat, right? You can tell it what to do here. So that's how that works. I am trying to get out of this thing. Hang on, guys. Bear with me. Here you go. And can anyone tell me why the second one is not showing up? Trick question, right? That's because there's no second card in there. That's why it's doing that. So, having said that, how do we solve that problem? We put in a SD card. If I'm going to do that, the camera will shut off, but I think the audio should continue to go. You still see the audio. As soon as I open this is one thing that Canon has always been a stickler on, is it shuts the power off to the camera as soon as you open the battery door. Sorry, the card door. So it'll take it a second for it to boot back up with both the cards in. Now you can see, there you are, with two cards in there. Now when I come in here and I tell it back here, because I still have record separately, come in here, now the second card becomes an option. Now I can tell it what to do. Which one do I want primary, which one do I want secondary? So if I make this primary, and there you go. So I'm setting one, whichever one it is. So I typically leave the first one as primary, which is the CFast Express Type B. You can see how the card looks a little different. And I usually shoot RAW to that, and then shoot JPEGs to the other, if you want to do that. Same thing with video. Now we're down to the third menu option. Standard is what's selected. Auto switch, they all mean the same thing, guys. Now in video it's slightly different. It's asking you the question, on the first card we're going to shoot the main footage, right? So that's what you want, CFast Express Type B. So if you're shooting 4K, 8K video, that's the card you want, because on the SD card it probably won't give you all of the options of all the different frame rates. So use a CFast Express Type B, and then on the second card, the SD card to the right of that, is where you're going to record a proxy. So if you have a very high bit rate, codec that you're using, that you're shooting to the main card, which is card 1, the proxy is going to be a card, a codec that it's going to allow you to very quickly edit. It's a very small file compared to the massive file on the main one. So that's what that does. Record multiple, same thing. You can make a copy of the same thing on both cards if you want to do redundancy. So that's what that does. Play 2, same thing. Now it's actually showing pick one which you want. Now we're going to go back into the video and pick a priority. So this one's going to be the priority for me, which is going to be this guy here. So I'm going to make this guy priority. Hit okay, there you are. So final thing, folder. Now that I have 3 cards in here, it's picking all the different folders that are in here, right? And I just stuck any card in there. Some of this has actually some Sony stuff in there on the SD card. So I can pick. Now you have to keep one thing in mind. When you're looking at this and you're saying, oh shit, I lost my files, where are they? You didn't lose them. If you look at the top right, it's the SD card that it's actually reading right now, is what it's doing. Why is it doing that? What is this saying here? From the playback menu, when you play back, when you hit this guy to view photos, that little triangle facing to the right, the playback button right below the jog down on the wheel, I told it that the primary card for video mode or photo mode was the first one, but then the second one is here. So let's go ahead and actually take this guy off. And then if I take that guy off, You can see how video playback primary is the CFast Express and playback for photos is the SD card. That's what this is reading right here. It's the SD card. So I would need to change that to priority. Change that to priority 1 and then set. Okay. Now if you look at the bottom, the folder changed because now it's actually reading the one folder that is on the CFast Express Type B card. Now it also says number 1 and CFast Express Type B is the picture on the top. That's how that works. Okay? Alright, so now that we have concluded part 1 of this, page 1, not even page 1, it's the first setting. File numbering. I usually leave it to continuous. You can do auto reset, which means it'll actually change the numbering of the files every single time you put the card in, a new card in, or restart the camera. If you wanted to do that, I like continuous, so then I know. You can manually reset it too. And now it's actually asking you for card 1, which is CFast Express Type B, what do you want to do? Right? You want to start the numbering from 1. You want to change the folder name. You can come in here and then you can literally just type on the screen whatever you want and then hit menu, hit OK. So here we are. There's that one. Third option, clip number, same thing. Nothing different. You just now you're naming the name of the clips, the video clips, if you want to do that. And you can do auto reset too if you really want to and push that button. File name, stills and movies. You can change it to whatever you like. I typically use a preset code, which is the name of the camera, and then change it. And you can change it based on user settings. So users can come in here and have different things. So if you got a second shooter that is shooting a wedding with you, you can have different settings for each user, and you can change this from image to image second is what you could do, so then you would know which ones are the ones that your second shooter shot. Format card, this is important. Both the cards are here. I was to click it, it's going to tell you what to do. Right? It's got a 500 gig CFast Express Type B card in there, and then if you want to completely do a clean wipe, I would hit the trash can here like that, and that will actually do a low level format, and that's usually the best way to do this. It's a full, much deeper, clean format is how it works. So I'm going to hit cancel because I'm not going to format these. And the same thing applies to your SD card. Auto rotate, you want to auto rotate on the camera as well as when you connect it to a computer, your photos, and or do you want to only on the computer? You don't want to rotate it on the camera, or you want to just turn auto rotate off. I just leave it on because when I review, it flips the image for me, makes my life easy. Auto rotate, this is kind of important for video. If you're shooting vertical video, this might be good. Turn it on and it will automatically rotate your video for you during playback when you're actually trying to mess with it. So there's page 1 for you. Page 2, set your time and date. This is very elementary, guys. Just come in here, punch in all your stuff, follow the directions, and you should be fine. You should be good to go. You can just touch your screen if you want. Language, pick the language you like. I mostly speak English, but if you go down here, you'll see how many languages are here. This is crazy. It's got a lot in here. So you pick whatever you like. And then, you know, just make sure it's set to the right language for you. And that's English for me. System frequency, this is important depending on the country that you're in. In the United States, we are NTSC. This is very important for video. 59.94 hertz. And then PAL is most of Asia and parts of Europe, which is at 50 hertz. That's why you see the different frame rates out of Europe and Asia. The help test, do you want the text to be small or big? I like it small. It's fine. It works fine. This is if you want the camera to beep every time it acquires focus or whatever it is that you're actually doing. You want to, you can leave it enabled. I usually just disable it. Same thing about the beep, how loud you want the beep to be. If this was enabled, you can come in here and you can set the volume. And now you can pick shutter volume, focus, beep, touch sounds, self-timer, beep, you know, when per, you know, the video as it's taken right there. You see that? And photo, you can do that too. You can set that if you really want to. I usually just turn it off because this camera already has a tally light in the front for video. I don't need a beep anymore. I can just tell. Audio monitor, you want to monitor to your headphones, and then with that, here's the volume, how loud you want it. Shoot monitor is when you're actually shooting. At that time, you can pick and see which channels do you want to record the audio. If you want to do other channels for this down here, you need additional accessories to be able to do this, connected to the camera. I'm not going to go into that right now because we're still in the photo section. We're not in video yet. Playback monitor, same thing. You want channel 1 and 2 in there, or if you want all of these different channels, then you go ahead and pick, depending on what you want. You can pick all the channels if you want down here. HDMI, shoot monitor, channel 1 and 2, playback monitor, channel 1 and 2. You can just pick. It's not available because I'm actually pushing out of it right now. And then you can pick whatever you want. If you want 1 and 2 or 3 and 4 for the playback on the monitor. All right, that's page 2. Page 3, screen brightness, pretty simple. Go in there and then you can make it brighter, dimmer, whatever you want with the jog dial. Viewfinder brightness, you have to actually, you know, I usually leave it to auto. It does a pretty good job. If you want to go in there and manually change it, you can. You would have to come in here and adjust the brightness by looking into the viewfinder. Sorry. Screen viewfinder color tone. These are different color tones, and the screen's viewfinder changes. I like number 2. You need to look in there and see what makes sense for you. If you want a warmer tone, you can go to number 1. You can go to, if you want something cooler tone. 2 and 3, I'm sorry, 3 and 4 would be really good for like Nikon users because they really like the cooler tones. That's how their cameras actually operate. That might be more of a home for you when you look at the viewfinder. Standard looks perfect to me for skin tones for Canon. And it works very close to what Sony's got. So if you want something warmer, you can always go to 1. That's just my 2 cents on it. You can also fine-tune the color tone similar to how you can actually move white balance around. I would only fool with this if you're really advanced and you want to start doing these kind of things and moving it around. It will actually change what you are seeing in the screen. So please be careful, because if this is not set right to what's happening with your eyes and what you're seeing in there, you could be getting wrong information and making decisions the wrong way. So make sure this is set to what you want. More green, more amber, more, you know, you can already see more to the red side, more to the magenta side, and then the blue side. All right, screen viewfinder. So this is when, you know, you take your eyes off of the viewfinder and then you put it back on. Auto switching works really well. Screen only, auto 1 is what I typically use. You can use auto 2. I can't tell too much of a difference between auto 1 and 2. If you've been able to see a big difference, let me know. I usually leave it to 1 and it's doing pretty good. So, you know, that's what I pick. And you can go to viewfinder only, screen only. If I do that now, it's probably going to shut this off, so I don't want to do that right now. And you can pick what you want. Auto switching works pretty good. UI magnification, if you really want this to become bigger, the user interface, it makes it bigger. As you saw, like it got slightly bigger. See that? HDMI resolution, this is picking what resolution is outputted from the HDMI, the full-size HDMI that's on this. Auto works pretty good, especially if you're shooting 8K RAW and things like that into an Atomos Ninja Plus like I do sometimes. just leave this to auto. If you want to restrict it only to 1080p, that's fine. 1080i, P is progressive, I is interlaced. We don't have time to go into that because that's a video thing. P is what you really want. I is much of the older cameras that had that format. Shutter at shutdown is the next. So actually, you know, we're already in page 4 now, which is other they call it various settings. That's funny. Shutter at shutdown means do you want to have when you remove the lens and then you or you close. Actually, I'll take that back. You have to turn the power off. When you turn the power off, the shutter will actually close and protect the sensor. If you remove the lens while the camera is on, the shutter will not close. You will expose that sensor. Be aware of that. Okay, so I usually leave it to close. Sensor cleaning. Auto cleaning works pretty good at power off. It shakes it off. It does a pretty good job. Sometimes it doesn't quite get it all and you want to do it manually. You could push it here by hitting this guy. And if you hit clean sensor now, it will start doing that and then go, okay. I don't know if you heard that. It's actually cleaning the sensor now. And it's done, and then it restarts the computer. The brain of the R5 Mark II has been restarted. There you are. So the sensor is clean now. It was already clean, but power steering. This is kind of important to set up. When do you want the screen to actually start to dim when you haven't touched it? I typically just disable all of these because I shoot a lot of video stuff and I just like it on. Yes, it uses battery. If not, 10 seconds is usually pretty good. If you want to do 5, you can do that too. But pick whatever works for you. Screen off, same thing. I disable it because I do a lot of video, like I said. But for you, usually 1 minute is plenty for you to take care of whatever it is that you need to do on the screen and look at. And then if you're not touching it for a minute, might as well turn it off, say battery. Auto power off, that shuts the entire camera off. And then you can pick exactly when you want to actually turn it off. Viewfinder off, 1 minute is what I typically do here, and just leave it at that. If I'm looking at the screen, the viewfinder has no reason to be on and just burn through battery. So there is page 4. Page 5. Reset camera. When you click this, you can do 2 things. You can reset individual settings and you can reset factory settings. We actually covered this in tutorial 1. So if you haven't watched this, watch it over there. Pretty straightforward. If you come in here, we have gone through all of these settings in tutorial 1. So I would encourage you to actually come in here and just take a look and, you know, reset your camera and the different things you want to actually reset. And these are all when you reset the individual settings, each one of these you can just go into and just reset one by one. Whatever you want to reset, whatever you don't want to reset. If you want the camera to become just like it was right out of the box, press this, move it over here to OK, and it will take every setting you got and wipe it out and give you a brand new camera again. That's what that is. Shooting modes. Whatever the settings are right now, you want to register them, you can come in here and you can register them in C1, C2, and C3. You access this hitting the mode button on top of the camera. So when you press the mode button, this is what you get. And you see these, C1, C2, C3 right here. That's where you're programming the settings that are actually being shown right now. So if I'm happy with, let's say, all of these settings that's on the screen right now, and I say, hey, I want to actually save this guy to C1, no problem. Go to register, C1, register, hit OK, it's saved, right? Auto update is something that you do want to do, because what that means is if you go and shoot in C1, like I just enabled it right now, and then I come in here and I pick C1, and then I say, this is nice, but you know what? I'm going to change this and I'm going to make this like 7.1. I like 7.1. That looks good right there. Now what it's done is it's automatically updated my settings to the 7.1 programmed in there. If I go to here, let me see if I can get it to go back. Oh, I'm actually in program mode. Oops, that's my fault. I'm doing it wrong. Okay, you can probably give me 1 second. There you go. Yeah, so once you turn this on, it will actually remember that and re-register it back to C1 again, is what this is. Same thing with C2, C3. There you go. And then you can clear C1, C2, C3. If you don't like what's already in there, just clear it. Auto update is enabled, same thing. And then you want to save to card. This is important. If you save it to card and you format that card, do that low level format, it is going to wipe these settings. So please be careful as you're formatting the card in the camera what you want to keep and not keep. So save to card. If I did this, it would actually go in there and actually save this as that. This is very important if you want to take your card, walk over to another camera that you have. I'd say you have two R5 IIs and you shoot weddings. You want to just carry all your settings over. You would hit OK here, and then you would, on the second camera, go load from card, and then it would actually load the settings because it would know what the settings are. Right now you can't because it doesn't have a card with the settings in there. And then you can literally just start shooting like you would on this R5 II on another R5 II without having to set up the whole camera again. So kind of cool that you can do that. Last page, battery info. This is the recharge performance on the bottom there. As this starts to go down, that means that some of the cells in your battery no longer are holding charge like they really should. And once it gets to, like, you know, only 2 of them are green, you want to start thinking about getting a new battery. You're done. You've charged it way too many times, used it way too long. Time for a new battery. And then the remaining capacity it shows, and it'll also show you how many shots you've actually taken with the battery in that charge. So you don't have to guess how many shots did I really get in the charge. Just come over here and I'll actually show it to you. So, okay, it's resyncing again. Hang on, guys. It went back to sleep because I changed that setting. Copyright information, you can come in here and you can enter your name, all of that in here. You can enter all of your copyright details, like 247 Media Group is ours, and I'll put all of that in there because I reset this camera to make these videos. And then once it's in there, the top item would be where you can display what's there, and then the bottom item, which is grayed out right now because there's nothing in there, you can actually delete that information. Manual and software. If you don't want to go to the internet and, you know, sit in front of a computer and do that, you can scan this QR code on your phone. It'll take you to the actual manual for the camera. The certification logo, if you really want to read it and knock yourself out, it's there. And the firmware version. This particular camera has been updated, and it's telling you the lens firmware update for this 28mm f2 RF lens that's on here right now, what version of software it's using. So with that actually concludes our wrench. This wasn't quite as long as some of the other videos, but we're getting there. So with that, what I would do is like, subscribe, be nice to each other, go out there, create your magic, and I will see you in the next one. As you can see, this one is going to be exciting because we get to customize every button on this sucker the way we want to actually use it. So come back for that in the next video. So hope you enjoyed this, and please definitely subscribe. So with that, a lot more coming your way. Thank you, and you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Talk to you soon.